Hey, good morning, everybody. We're here back again. It's Monday morning. We got Roy Rickstrew, the disability guru. We're going to talk about reviews today, right after this.
I want to be your disability rep.
And here we are. Good weekend?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. We had a crawfish broil yesterday.
Oh,
or
that
boil,
sounds like
rather.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a first for me. It was interesting.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a lot of fun. It's our wedding anniversary, so we got to tootle around at Top of the Rock, and we ate at Arnie's Barn, which I thought was interesting. So it's Arnold Palmer's barn that was in Pennsylvania. They moved it to Top of the Rock, and now it's a restaurant. Now, do you know anything about this restaurant?
No.
Okay, well then I'll ask you. So Arnie's Barn, Top of the Rock, what kind of restaurant do you think that is?
Barbecue.
Yeah, Mexican.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, what? I mean, my wife loves Mexican, so it was great, but I was like, really, this is a Mexican? That was not what I was picturing, when I thought about Arnie's Barn. I thought, maybe barbecue, sure, steakhouse kind of stuff, country style food, that seemed it, but the Mexican kind of threw me.
Yeah.
That was good. It was
It's
good. So,
always interesting when they pick buildings up, move them across the country, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
It
Seems like
was-
more work than it's worth, I guess, unless it has some sort of historical or celebrity status like this one.
Yeah, they're in Harper's Ferry, John Brown's Raid. It's a firehouse, if I remember correctly. And they used to package it up and take it to the fairs around the country.
Wow.
Yeah, put it on a train car and reassemble it and bring it back. And I don't remember how many times it'd been moved through the years, but it's just fascinating to, move a building across the country for some reason.
I'll bet they had all the pieces numbered on that one.
I bet they did too.
Yeah, so. Well, you were just telling me there's kind of, I would describe it as an interesting confluence of events have created some interesting scenarios here in the disability, SSI, Medicaid world.
Yeah, because of COVID, Social Security and Medicaid both suspended their review process. So normally whenever you get approved for Social Security or for Medicaid, they'll look in at your case periodically. For Missouri Medicaid, for example, they'll look in every year to make sure that you continue to be eligible, continue to be disabled. For Social Security, they'll look in a lot of times at 3 years or 5 years to see if you continue to have the disability or if you got better. Maybe the back surgery worked, maybe the knee replacement was great, those sorts of things. But because of COVID, they just suspended all of that.
Well, it spends a lot of things during COVID.
Yes. The other thing that we saw is that there's a quality review process when you get approved. They'll pull cases at random, and a lot of those cases weren't pulled and looked at during COVID. So the long story short is that Medicaid and Social Security both have got a whole bunch of review quota that's not yet met, and literally everyone who is on Missouri Medicaid, for example, is going to get reviewed this summer. And same thing's going to happen with Social Security in that we've got about 3 years worth of reviews that are going to catch up all at once.
So does that include the folks in long-term care with Alzheimer's and
Should.
all that?
Yep,
All
should.
that get reviewed?
Yeah, it really should include your Medicaid for Children cases too. They're supposed to review it every year as well. And so the important thing here is that, make sure you watch your mailbox for the forms.
Oh, yeah.
That's the quickest way to get you off the rolls is for you not to return your paperwork.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense.
The other thing they kind of keep in mind, and I tell people this all the time when we get them approved for disability, the continuity of care becomes very important when you know there's going to be a continuing disability review on the horizon. You want to make sure you're not jumping around from doctor to doctor, that you keep with somebody who's going to make good recordings so your story stays consistent throughout that process.
So I know in my former life it was really common. How big of a problem it is for folks that are on Medicaid, disability, that from the time they get approved, they move, and now they have a different address, and so they don't get the letter.
Yeah, Medicaid and Social Security both are pretty good at staying in contact with people in that they send out a lot of correspondence.
Yeah.
And the mail for the government a lot of times does not forward, it returns. And so it comes back. If you move, they'll find out pretty quickly that you moved.
And then what do they do about that?
Well, they make efforts to reach you, and then ultimately they send you a letter to the address that's bad and tell you they're going to close your case if you don't hear from you.
Yeah. I just know, you know, I used to deal with people all the time, and still do, you know, as a judge, that driver's license suspended, revoked, not valid, not renewed. And, you know, they say, well, I never got a notice. I'm like, well, did you move? Yeah. I'm like, did you tell them? No. I'm like, well, that would be why. And they said, well, if I didn't know I was suspended, then you know, it's no big. I'm like, no, because there's an affirmative duty on you to make sure you update your address with the Department of Revenue. And if they mail notice to your last known address, that is considered notice.
Yeah.
Because you were negligent in not updating it. And so people run afoul of that all the time.
Sure. That's the reasonable effort on behalf of the government there, is that they mailed you the letters to your former address. But it is just really important that you kind of try to keep with the same doctors the best that you can. You keep Social Security and Medicaid up to date with where you've been. One interesting thing on the Social Security side especially, is that it's easy to get somebody to help you with your initial case to prove that you're disabled. But when it comes time for one of these continuing disability reviews, Social Security has to establish and show with overwhelming evidence that you're no longer disabled to cut you off of the benefits.
Kind of switches the burden, as we say.
Yes, it does. It switches the burden in that respect. So it's I've lost my train of thought. How about that?
Burden of proof, the review, it was easier to get help when you got...
Right. So it's easy to get somebody involved when you're trying to prove that you're disabled, but when you go through one of these continuing disability reviews, there's not really a mechanism for a representative or an attorney to get paid for helping you to sustain your benefits.
I see.
They treat it a little bit differently. There's no back pay for us to be paid out of, so it becomes a bit of a problem. But there are some workarounds for that. If you find yourself in a situation where you have one of these continuing disability review forms come in the mail, you have questions about it, give the office a call. We can certainly chat, give you some advice about how to proceed with that. If you get the letter telling you they're going to shut off your benefits, give me a ring for sure. There are some ways we can kind of work around that normal fee structure and see if we can't get you some help and keep your benefits in place.
And I know that main number is 417-882-1800, but you have a direct line.
417-812-6698. And same thing, if you're on disability or if you get Medicaid based on being disabled and you're going to get one of these reviews, you're worried about your Medicaid benefits, give me a ring. We'll certainly talk and see what we can do to get you some advice there. We may also be able to help you get your disability in place. And this includes folks that are on Medicare that may be getting Medicaid as well. You're going to get reviewed as well. I speak Medicare there in the office. We have another Medicare agent as well. So give us a ring and tap into our knowledge bank.
Yeah, and on the website, yourdisabilityrep.com, yourdisabilityrep.com, yourdisabilityrep.com. Check that out. This video and more will be up there for you to check out. And other than that, we will be back next week.
Sounds good.
Thanks for watching.
I want to be your disability rep.